Hi. We're in the series called Teach Us to Pray, right? And we're trying to take this disposition of how can we learn to improve our prayer life? What can we do? In the first two sessions, we covered the tools of adoration and of listening. And these first two tools were really focused on God, as it should be. How do we adore God? How do we listen to God, right? But these next two tools, the ones that we're going to cover today, they go from heaven to earth. Let's look at what Jesus says in the Lord's Prayer. It goes, "Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we also have forgiven our debtors." In this statement that Jesus gives in his instructions, I guess, for prayer, there is a recognition that we need food and that we are sinners. I love this. Jesus, he's so amazing in how he links things together, right? Because firstly, we need bread. Give us this day our daily bread. Like every single person, the Hebrew word for bread is actually used synonymously with food. So every single person needs food, right? So we need bread and we need forgiveness. But I love how Jesus links these two, because the first one is so clear. Without food, we naturally die. So give us this day our daily bread. Give us what we need to live naturally. But the other statement is also true, but maybe not so clear. You see, if we don't regularly ask for forgiveness, because we need forgiveness, if we don't confess our sins, then we can become people who think that we've done nothing wrong. And then pride, perhaps one of the most deadliest of the sins, can seep in. And then over time, we can become spiritually dead. Jesus says that we need to not just pray for our daily physical needs or the things that we need, but Jesus says we also need to recognize our need for forgiveness. It's from this disposition of truth recognition that we are able then to forgive those who have sinned against us. Like, let's just be really clear. When Jesus taught about prayer, it wasn't always just going to be about us. Jesus was very concerned about how we related to other people. It would be a key element in how our Father in heaven sees us. He would say, don't come to me and pray for if you have got a problem with a brother. First sort that out, right? Or like today when he says, forgive us our debts as we forgive those who have sinned against us, our debtors. Jesus is highlighting a reality from God's view. Depending on how we relate to other people, we would either go to God as grateful stewards who had been forgiven, and as people then who forgave others. So like, oh God, I realize I've been forgiven, and so I'm now doing the same for others. That's how God might see us. Or the alternative is that God would see us as ungrateful, selfish stewards who liked forgiveness for themselves but didn't really extend it to others. Where we go, God, thank you so much for forgiving me for this thing, but I'm not going to extend that to my brother. Jesus talks about this in a parable in Matthew 18:21-35, right? So in this session, we're going to cover two tools that help us to get that kind of orientation. It's called petition and intercession. The first one, petition, is about our needs, our bread, our forgiveness, etc. But the other, intercession, is about others, in line with the thought that Jesus was concerned about how we relate with others. Now, petition The first tool involves making requests or presenting our needs before God, asking Him to intervene and provide. The Bible encourages us to bring our petitions to God with thanksgiving in Philippians 4 verse 6. And although God knows our needs, He still wants us to articulate it to Him. It's an act of faith and trust, believing that God is able and willing to respond to our very basic, everyday needs, according to His perfect will and timing. When we present our petitions to God, He may respond in one of a few ways, right? There's yes, there's no, and there's wait. So we got to be conscious that even as we do petitions to God, He's not just an ATM machine or a genie that grants wishes. It's crucial to consider God's purpose and align our requests with God. That's why the first two, adoration and listening, were so important. 1 John 5:14-15 says, "And this is the confidence that we have towards Him, that if we ask anything according to His will, He hears us. And if we know that He hears us in whatever we ask, we know that we have the requests that we have asked of Him." The second tool is intercession. And intercession is praying on behalf of others. To intercede means to come in between, to act between two parties with a view to reconcile those who differ, to mediate, to represent. And so we have to, in our prayers, when we use intercession as a tool, we're praying for other people. It is a selfless act of going beyond our personal petitions and standing in the gap, advocating for someone else's well-being, seeking God's interventions, blessings for their lives, to offer prayers on their behalf. Intercession reflects the heart of Jesus, who intercedes for us before the Father in Romans 8, verse 34. And it holds the potential to bring transformation, healing, and breakthroughs in the lives of other people. So today, let's take a look at petition and intercession.